Thank you so much for your cooperation. So we have two options, either to go for online mode or offline mode. ये तो सब ठीक है, but let me tell you something interesting about the concept of ASBA. नाम सुना हुआ या सुना सुना? ASBA is a known concept for you all or unknown concept for you all? Anyone? And I don't want the abbreviation, वो तो मैंने slide पे भी लिखा हुआ है. Unknown, fair, unknown. So most of you all are saying it's unknown. So let me spare 1 minute to make you understand what is ASBA and how it is important for us to know about ASBA, whether we are doing through a trading account or we are going through UPI mechanism or anything else for that matter. So earlier what used to happen is whenever you make application for shares, you are putting money in the bank account of a company without even knowing whether you will get shares or bank. Then the company will take its own time to decide whether to allot shares or not. Shares मिले तो फिर भी ठीक है. Not essentially you will get the same quantity of shares which you have applied, which means again you will have to wait for refund. So company will take its own time after allotment to refund money back to your bank account. So in this entire process, we used to have a loss of 30 days or more than that sometimes. And on your hard-earned money, company was earning interest because you have paid the entire money in advance, which is lying in the bank account. Now tell me whether it's right or wrong. But company was earning interest earlier. Good for you or bad for you, right or wrong? Bad for you, wrong, absolutely wrong, someone is saying. So to avoid this limitation and again to bring more convenience for investor, now we have this system called ASBA. So in ASBA, what happens is you don't have to. So let us say I have to purchase shares of 1,000 rupees. I have 20,000 rupees in my bank account. Usme se 1,000 will be blocked, which means I can't use it. Remaining 19,000 I can use it. It's only when company decides to allot shares, exact required amount will be taken. No need to pay money in advance. No need to wait for refund because you're not paying extra money anyways. And let company take whatever time they want because your money is blocked but still lying in your account. So you keep on earning interest on that as well. So remember, whenever we are making applications, whether normal system of trading account or UPI mode, don't forget to put ASBA as your option and save a lot of money for yourselves and earn a lot of money in the form of interest for yourself. As I said, whether it's online mode or offline mode, Demat account opening is something that is very, very crucial and very, very essential also for that matter. Now let's talk about rights and duties and etc. etc. So many times we are ignorant about our rights because we have very small stake in the company. And as a retail and small investors, many times we are not even bothered about what company is doing. We are only concerned with how price of company share is doing in the market because I am concerned with my profitability in the investment. And there is, to a greater extent, there is nothing wrong about it. But I thought I'll just bring these rights also to someone's notice in case if they are excited about exercising them. So as a shareholder, you have a right to go to receive annual reports, financial statements. You can go and attend the meetings of the companies. You have role in terms of appointment of auditors, appointment of directors, etc., etc. If companies are not doing well, if they are getting into the areas where they should not, you can call extraordinary general meeting and take action against your own company as well. So wide range of rights are available with us in terms of accessibility. Now, whether to execute them or not to execute is obviously our personal choice for that matter. So when we talk about rights, we also should know what are the do's and don'ts of investments. But before that, let me just highlight some of the interesting measures which are taken by SEBI. We will not get into the details of each one of them, but you talk about eKYC, you talk about relaxations relating to the power of attorney, or you talk about basic services Demat account, which we are going to touch upon again in the next part. The crux is that the central theme for all these measures which are taken is transparency, and convenience for investor. So again and again, I'm highlighting that role which is played by Securities and Exchange Board of India in terms of their functioning and in terms of their policies with reference to investments. Now let's talk about some do's and don'ts which are related to investing. So there are three emotions who are going to control your journey of investments. The first one is greed. Whenever market is rising, the greed automatically takes or it captures your mind. You feel that the markets will keep on rising always and forever, and you never try to dispose of your investment. And when you feel like selling your investment, the market has already started a reversal trend. So you always control your greed, set a target for yourself. Like I want 15%, I want 20%, whatever target you want to keep, and dispose of your investments. When the markets are falling, you suddenly have fear factor coming in your mind. So and the newspapers and the social media also read, today investors lost 50,000 crores. And we again start counting how many zeros that particular figure has. So if your share which you have invested is of 100 rupees today has come down to 95, my question to you is, the price of the share which you bought at 100, which has come down to 95, tell me it's loss for you or it's not a loss for you. How many of you feel it's a loss for us that if the share price falls down to 95, which you purchased at 100 rupees? How many feel it's loss? Yes or no, you can indicate. Whatever you feel, it's loss, yes or no. Wrong. Niti is saying, Sneha is saying, no, very good. I'm so happy that the mindset is absolutely perfect for your investments. So if 100 rupees become 95, it's not your loss. It will become your loss only if you sell it for 95. Now that 95 can always go back to 100, 105, 110, and so on and so forth. That's why it's important for you to wait for the right time whenever the market is falling. So fear is only going to give you blood pressure and panic attacks. Don't get into that. And the third feeling that will control or that will influence your investment journey is excitement. So there are a lot of things which we keep on doing in excitement. Like what we tend to do is we tend to follow someone. We are very good at imitating. So what we feel is whatever happened once upon a time in Mumbai, it will happen though. Don't mind, but it happens only in Bollywood movies. In securities market, history not essentially gets repeated. So don't follow your strategies which was adopted by your chacha and your mama or your elder cousin. What the impression we have is उन्होंने यहाँ पे invest किया और गाड़ी ले ली, I will also do the same thing. Doesn't happen like that in stock market. We are in a dynamic world. Every hour things are changing. So don't imitate the strategy adopted by someone else. We all have unique DNAs. We all have unique fingerprints. Similarly, our financial goals and requirements are also unique. So we have to make sure that we follow our own strategy rather than imitating someone. Also, we have another misconception or another habit of believing on everything that is there in the news. तो आजकल तो बहुत एक सोशल मीडिया यूनिवर्सिटी निकला हुआ है, इंफॉर्मेशन की कोई कमी नहीं है हमारे पास, ज्ञान तो यहाँ वहां हर जगह से बटता है. But how far it is true, how far it is reliable is a matter of concern. And that is something we all will learn from our experience. So just looking at some information flowing in, immediately reacting to that in excitement is always going to be disaster if as far as your investment journey is concerned. So these are some of the tips I thought I will share with you that you should keep in your mind before into your investment or financial planning journey. Now let's talk about grievance aspect as well. So it's not that we have 101% foolproof system, but we probably are the best in the world as far as the systems and parameters are concerned. But once out of the blue moon, you may have some complaints against the companies or complaints against some technical issues, etc., etc. For that, SEBI has created a complete online mechanism called scores. Very, very investment friendly and a centralized web-based complaint system. So you can lodge your complaints online, you can track your complaints online, and you'll get solution for your complaints also online for that matter. But apart from grievances, if you just have any inquiries or you need any information, there is a help desk also. We can again go to the website. There's a toll-free number available. There's email where we can seek information. But do not get confused. The previous one, score system, was only for grievances. And this one is only for inquiries or information. If we send wrong emails to wrong person, we will never get a reply. And then we say that yahan pe to aisa hi hota hai, we'll never get it. But one has to be extra careful whether we are doing a complaint or we are seeking information for us. So that was a first and the broader part of my presentation. In the second presentation, which is going to be a very brief because we have touched upon a lot of things. Otherwise, we will focus and concentrate on stock exchanges. So when we talk about stock exchange, we have multiple stock exchanges in India. The most famous ones we know are two, but that is not all. We have other stock exchanges. So that's the agenda for this part of my presentation. We are going to talk about mechanisms of placing order, contract notes, so on and so forth. So when we talk about these payment margins and early payments, etc., these are few things which are not in our control. So we will touch upon those and focus more on only such things which are so that we can have timely completion of this session as well. And I can give you some time for your questions and answers. So when we talk about placing orders, online, offline, multiple options are available with you. You can go through a stockbroker, you can have a telephonic placement of orders. You can go to the website of the broker and place an order, provide that particular service. You can have your own online trading, or you can go through a most traditional broking firm form filling process as well. So multiple options are there as per our convenience and as per our requirement. Select whichever mode we want to adopt. Irrespective whether it's online trade or offline trade, keeping records of this contract note, which is a written document of all the transactions, is very, very important. So for each transaction, we have contract note generated. Speaks about time, date, volume of your transaction, buy, sell, everything. And by default, it will be sent to your registered email ID for your reference. Till you do not sell those securities, it's important to keep it. So if at all there is any grievance letter, you have the proof in your place, or you have a proof in your hand that you have transacted this much. So keeping so I have a folder on my laptop where I immediately store all my contract notes. So if you're doing an online trade, you can do that. If you're doing offline trade, then create a separate file or a folder where you're keeping this all in a printout format or a physical format. And as you dispose of those securities, obviously you can dispose of contract notes also, because otherwise it's going to be very tedious for you to keep the records. Now, there is another confusion like a lot of people have, that when we talk about derivatives market or cash market, why immediately the transaction is not reflected? Because system of T+2 for a normal cash segment and T+1 for a derivatives. So T+1, T+2 hota kya hai? Transaction plus 2 days. That's the time that is required to reflect your securities in your demat account for that matter. But irrespective, whatever happens within those 2 days in the market, whether it fluctuates, it goes up or otherwise, is not going to have impact on your investment. Once you book a contract, it will be executed at that same price and the quantity which you have already booked. So don't worry about intermediate fluctuations in the market. ये भी सबको टेंशन होता है, अरे मैंने खरीदा और देखो मार्केट और नीचे चला गया. So that is in fact for you good time to buy another share or another securities for that matter, because what you have booked is not going to change. So any favorable or unfavorable movements which were happening in the market are not going to be playing any role on your investments. It's just that the logistics will take 2 days or 1 day for settlement of transaction for that matter. Now, of course, if you are dealing with the brokers and everyone, there is a requirement for paying margins or their commissions for that matter. So we have to check on the website of stock exchange the margin requirement. I'll tell you the simple way, rather than getting into the technicalities. If you are dealing with your broker in cash, there is a red signal for you. Don't deal in cash with your broker. Always deal in cross check, that to a cross check which is issued in the name of a broking firm. So there is no question of you being overcharged or otherwise for that matter. In general, also they will always hesitate because there are a lot of penal action which can be taken if at all they are found guilty. Now, if you have still any complaint against the stockbroker, uske liye bhi redressal system is available. So you can immediately raise a question to your stockbroker. If you do not get a satisfactory answer, you can lodge a complaint at exchange through online portal, email, physical letters. There are investor grievance resolution panel which looks into your cases or which looks into your complaints. So what I'm trying to establish is that we have a complete mechanism for redressal of your grievances. It's matter of you putting a grievance, and nowadays online system will help you to track it also, what is the progress, and that is very, very convenient and transparency in place. As a last part of my presentation, the third component, in next 5 to 7 minutes, what I will touch upon is the role of depositories. And then I will open it up for any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions from your end as well. Typically, we have two depositories, and many of us get a little confused in terms of what is depository and what is depository participant. So many stockbrokers and commercial banks also nowadays act as depository participants. They allow you to use their services to trade in the stock exchange or the markets, as we call it. Depositories, on the other hand, have a different role to play, and there are only two depositories we have. One is the Central Depositories Securities Limited, other one is National Depositories Securities Limited. What role they play is to help you in DMAT, dematerialization, converting your physical certificates into electronic form, and vice versa in terms of DMAT, that is rematerialization. If at all you want to transfer securities in someone's name by will, then the role of depositories will come into the picture. Also, there is a possibility of transmission of securities for that matter. So transmission will happen because of operation of law. So let's say if you, in case of your death, it has to be passed on to someone. In case if you become incapable of getting a contract or executing a contract, by operation of law, it is required to be transmitted. So in all these situations, we will use services of depositories and depository participants also for that matter. So many of us have this confusion, which depository participant is good, whether we should go for X, Y, or Z. Obviously, my protocol will not allow me to say that, but what I can assure you is the DMAT securities in depositories and depository participants 100% safe and secured for that matter, because they are ultimately controlled and regulated by the rules and regulations. So irrespective of it is X, Y, or Z, that is not going to make a lot of difference in your investment journey for that matter. So this is a transmission process which I was talking about. Then we talk about hedge in case of deposit of some personal property as a collateral to debt. That's also possible. Now, there have been new rules which have come in place during the pandemic in September 2020. Almost 10 months back, we had this 11 months back, we had this new rules which have come in. Now, if at all you want to put any instruction, you can go for a physical form, or electronically, you can use PD for NSDL and easiest for CDSL for that matter. So that's the mechanism we have in place. Now, I mentioned about basic services DMAT accounts. So when we start our investment journey, the profits are thin, the investment is also not very high. So if you're holding investments of equity less than 50,000 and for debt, it's less than 1 lakh, you don't have to pay any maintenance charge of your account. Extra money is to be paid. If it's between 50,000 to 2 lakhs and for equities and 1 lakh to 2 lakhs for debt, you pay a nominal amount of 100 rupee per year. Once you cross 2 lakh limit, then you become a normal account holder, and all those benefits will go away, and you are translated and converted as non-basic services demat account. But initially, don't miss this opportunity of either not paying any charges or paying minimum charge of nominal charge rather of 100 rupees for the entire year for that matter. So this is yet another initiative taken for small investors. Then there's something called CAS, which is consolidated account statement, is a summary of your equity, debt, and mutual funds, is issued usually on monthly basis, and it's sent to you on email. So tracking your investment is very, very important, essential. But over tracking is always dangerous. So I know some people who forget about their investment. They invest and 10 साल के बाद यार invest किया था. Now avoid that. At the same time, avoid checking your investment after every 15 minutes. I have seen people when they are traveling here back in Mumbai, when they are traveling to their office, they are checking investments. They are on the way back from office in the train, checking their investments. Lunch break, checking investments. Tea break, checking investment. Is not going to serve the purpose. So we should keep a track. Every 15 minutes, if you keep on checking what is happening to your investment, is not going to be helpful. So you try to avoid both extreme ends and be a smart investor for yourself. So we have another reversal system for depositories, separately designed for CDSL and NDSL. We can go to the website. We have emails for sending our complaints, and then there are numbers also which are available. The last slide I have is for BSC Starmark Mutual Fund. That's a landmark in the ecosystem of mutual funds. So we are expecting by 2025, we will reach 100 trillion rupees as asset under management for Indian mutual fund industry. But landmark developments and historic launching of initiatives like BSC Star mutual funds, I'm sure we don't have to wait for 2025. We will reach earlier for that matter. So what this BSC Star mutual fund distribution system has done compared to the previous distribution system is completely online. You can make applications online, you can purchase investments online, your cash transactions and refunds, everything will happen on real-time basis. It's completely E2E online process, which saves a lot of time, a lot of energy, and virtually or technically it's available at your doorstep 24/7 for that matter. You can possibly have all possible benefits of investment systems through initiative of BSC Starmark Mutual Fund. I have a last question before I wind up and open it up for questions and answers, a last tip rather, which I want to leave you all with. So it was given in my introduction that I am a trekker and I keep on going for. Let's assume that we are on a trek and we have reached the top of the mountain and we are very, very thirsty. So on one hand, you have a waterfall. On the other hand, you have a pond of water. Jama hua pani hai aur ek waterfall hai. Which one would you prefer to drink water from? A waterfall or a pond? The chat boxes. Last question from my side and a last tip coming up. Waterfall is preferred or a pond is preferred? Waterfall, Jyotika is saying. Prakriti, Pooja, Ananya, Sneha, all of you are saying Sejal, thank you, waterfall. The reason is we always believe, and rightly so, that flowing water is clean. The same law will apply to your investments. If you invest your funds and block your funds at one place for 15 years, 10 years, you will lose hundreds of golden opportunities to make investments. If you keep on rotating your funds, then it is always going to be helpful. But many of us do not realize, have awareness about how to liquidate and when to liquidate. So purpose should be always attached to your investments. If you are doing investment only because XZ is doing, you are wasting your time and energy. You always need to attach a purpose for your investment. If you attach purpose, automatically you will start liquidating your investments and you can create more wealth out of it. Just to give you an example, I have something called trip fund, जो मैं सिर्फ ट्रिप जाने के लिए यूज करता हूँ. The money which I invest is used only for my vacations. It may be a weekend getaway or it's a long vacation. So I know that 1 month के बाद I have to visit North and I have to visit Delhi. I know this is my budget. So I will start liquidating money from that fund whenever the market is in good condition. Because I have attached purpose, I know 1 महीने के बाद मुझे पैसा लगने वाला है, तो पूरे 1 महीने में थोड़ा थोड़ा पैसा I keep on withdrawing from that fund. Is it good? So I always end up earning profit on that, and I always serve the purpose also and have enough money before my trip in my pocket. So attachment of purpose to your investment is something that's going to be very, very crucial and very helpful for you in your entire investment journey. It's going to be acting as a guiding light in your journey of your. So this is what I thought I should bring it to your notice in an hour's time. I'm sure many of you have got different insights compared to what misconceptions you had about securities markets and your investment journey. So it's better to start today rather than waiting it for right time to come. The only right time for your investment journey is today. The only right amount is what you have in your pocket today. So investments can be done with 10 rupees ka shares, 15 rupees ka shares, or whatever you have in pocket. We always keep on making excuses that I don't have sufficient money with me to start my investment journey. So with this thought, I once again express my sincere gratitude for this session and having me over here. And I will stop sharing now and keep it open for any thoughts, comments, or questions from your end. So if you have any questions or comments, thoughts, you can put it in the chat box. Like you have some feedback or you have some takeaways, I will also take these thoughts and comments as a feedback for my session. Thank you so much. We'll wait for some time if you have any questions, or else it's going to be end of session from my side. Of course, you have a formal feedback link in the chat box. But even otherwise, if you have to say something about the session, you can put it in the chat box as well. So we'll wait for a couple of any thoughts or comments from your end, or else it's going to be end of the session from my end. So if any one of you want to say anything, you can also now, because it's the end of the session, and you can give us a feedback apart from the forward feedback which you're filling up otherwise. Thank you, Niyati, for your positive comment. Okay, thank you so much, all of you. Wonderful comments which you have given in the chat box. And thank you once again for your active participation throughout the session. That all of you will take this content and some of the takeaways very seriously, because they all will have reference in the long term for you. Thank you so much, and all of you have a good day.
Thank you so much, sir.